Okay, so let's begin. Costanza Andreini is Public Policy Manager for Meta Italia, Greece, Malta, and Cyprus. She joined the company 4 years ago when the company's name was still Facebook, where she works on safety issues like cyberbullying, non-consensual sharing of intimate images, and youth protection. And platforms integrity, focusing on hate, speech, misinformation, and harmful contents.
She once said she would never get a dog in an apartment, but she has now 3 big, messy, but adorable furry dogs that no room in her house.
Hola, buenos días. Very nice to meet you. I'm Costanza, and I work for Meta, and so I would like to give you a better understanding of how we work on hate speech. But actually, this session might be interactive in terms of, I know it's very difficult to meet someone from Meta, so if you have any questions, any curiosity, please don't be that mean with me, because I'm just a person, not Meta at all, but you can just ask your question, and I will try to answer at my best. So, let me just go there. So, why it's very important to understand what hate speech means? Because if we know what hate speech means, we can prevent them from happening on our platform, and we can fight it. So, what are the basic rules for us to... What are the basic rules for us to address this problem? Our policies. So maybe you know what are our community standards. They are a set of rules which we created in order to tell people what is possible or what is not possible to post on our platforms. And when I talk about platforms, I talk about Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and all the devices that will be like the access to the metaverse. This is very important to understand that there are some rules. So people who decide to use Facebook and to use Instagram, they have to comply with those rules. These rules are very broad because they basically they cover a lot of issues. Not just hate speech, but also how people can interact one with each other in terms of how they can promote content. If they are a brand, if they have a business, how they can promote that. And these policies need to be very easy to understand. Also because that would be an excuse. If you didn't know that there was a policy, there was a rule, how could you have followed that rules? So you see these 3 principles. So we decided to use the community standard as our North Star whenever we want to moderate our content and whenever we interact with people. So what they have to be, so principle, they have to be operable, and they have to be explicable. This community standard, as I was saying, cover a lot of things. And you can see, I don't know if I'm in the middle, probably it's better if I go there. They cover a lot of issues, a lot of specific questions. So for example, when we talk about safety, we are not just talking about hate speech, but we're also talking about revenge porn. We are talking about cyberbullying. We are talking about sexual exploitation, minors protection. And so it's very important for anyone who is interested in these topics to start from that, like trying to understand what are the community standards, not just about Meta, but even other platforms, because that's the best vision you can have, the broader one you can have when you became an expert. And I think if you are part of this community today, maybe you want to become an advocate, maybe you want to teach people how to use social media and how to improve the entire system. So, hate speech. What is hate speech? I know you know what is hate speech, but it's important to know how Meta defines hate speech. That's very important because not everything is hate speech. If I say something bad to someone, if I post something, that might not be hate speech. So if you report my content as hate speech, it might be not demoted, not removed from the platform, because it's not hate speech. It's maybe it is something that offended you, or you thought was nasty, but it's not hate speech. And why it's very important to define some criteria? It's important because it helps to work at scales. Community standards are global ones, which means that if I'm a citizen, Italian citizen, as you can see from my accent, or if I'm a Saudi Arabia citizen, I will probably have a different culture, a different way in which I interact with people, a different way my national government rules on me, on the country. And how do we manage to balance national-specific perspectives with global rules for global platforms? That's the thing, that's the challenge, and I hope that we can discuss about it because it's very interesting. Hate speech, so define this criteria for hate speech, is the way in which we can moderate and which we can prevent or try to prevent from happening. So hate speech for Meta, it's something, it's an affirmation, it's a statement that point out a person, not for his personal identity. Someone is appointed because he owns or is part of a specific and protected criteria and category. Meaning, for example, being from a specific ethnicity. So someone who is called out, who is offended based on his nationality, based on his religious affiliation, based on something that actually characterizes that person, but characterizes that person as part of a broader community that cannot be attacked by hate speech. Why hate speech? It's so difficult to catch on platforms, because this is the point as well. You might think, okay, you have this criteria, so do your job. Like, why I see negative content online? And that's a fair affirmation, I would say. But the thing, no, I will go there. The thing is that hate speech is very localized and is very context-based. For example, if I say something to a friend of mine, my friend, and I say something like, hey bitch, let's gang out, this is something that might be perceived from an algorithm, from a content moderation perspective, as a slur. So as something that I'm offending someone and might be, for example, removed from the platform. Instead, I'm just joking. Like, I'm being sarcastic, I use this kind of relationship with my friends, and so if I see my content demoted or removed from the platform, I might feel that, oh, AI doesn't understand anything. Because hate speech, again, is very local-based, meaning that intention that people are expressing when they are writing a comment or sharing something, it's very important. And it's very important also the linguistical part, because some like new words that people are creating right now might be perceived as negative as well, but instead they are just jokes or the way in which people interact. So why it's so important for us as people to report content? Because the machine learning, artificial intelligence, which helps us to detect, to remove, and to prevent hate speech from lying on platform, gets traction the more you report content. How it works? So, the way in which we detect hate speech is basically represented here. When we are talking about enforcement, we are talking about those rules, those community standards we were talking at the beginning, how from the generical principle written in a tab, how do we manage to make choices on what remains on platform and what doesn't remain on platforms, based on reports from users. So what we do, we select, like, anyone on Meta platform can report a content. And then that report arrived directly into our content moderation system and was to be analyzed. What happens? Many times I know that people report things and nothing happens. Nothing happens, or after a week you might receive an answer saying your content is not in violation of our policy. And people, sometimes they are just, okay, I will just not report anything else. I'm not saying that the systems are perfect. No, I'm saying they need to be improved, they need to be more efficient, to be quicker. But what's important to understand is how it works. So you have to understand that your report is one of the billion reports that is produced and submitted to Meta platform every day. So clearly, this investigation of the reports, in order to be efficient, needs to be categorized. So, are you reporting something which is nudity? Are you reporting a sexual exploitation of a minor's content? Are you reporting a copyright infringement? So this is very different in terms of the prevalence it might have and the bad consequence that your reports might signal in real world. So for sure, you have to understand that more severe reports are the ones that are being reviewed first. This is normal. Like, we know that if this is something very, very bad, it will be reviewed like within a second. Not second, at 30 minutes. How it works? All your reports, what I was saying before, I made a report on something which was in violation and nothing happened. Okay, but your report is so important because it helps and it actually makes the machine learning, which is the basis of content moderation AI we use, to improve. So it means that the report you are making right now, maybe for you think it is useless because it doesn't give the outcome you were thinking, but actually it helps to improve the machine. So it means that in 6 months, probably that content that that AI didn't know was in violation will actually be enforced. So it's so important for everyone to report things. This is not the only way in which we report content. We review content. We also rely, especially, and like the majority of it, on artificial intelligence. How do we do that? With signals. So with signals in terms of what could be in violation of our community standard, the AI identify those things, review them, and take a decision. But also with the help of human reviewers. So more than 40,000 people, we're talking about people here, not like algorithm, review the content that have been posted and then be reported. This is like a balance, you know, between the severity of the reports you're making, the time frame in which it's done, and the scale. Because clearly, 40,000 people are a lot, but they are not enough to review millions of content reported every day on a global platform with 3 billion of users. So this is the scale. And this is why it's so important to understand what's behind hate speech. Because otherwise, people just get frustrated and they say, I will just leave that platform, or I will just not interact that. But probably you will miss a big opportunity for something else, to interact, to create community, to develop like better citizen and to help people find positive way of interacting one with each other. Then what we do, the proactive detection, it's my favorite part. Because, now, here. So, for example, just to give you a number, and this is not to say that the platform is perfect. Again, otherwise it's useless, this presentation. This is just to understand the magnitude we are talking about. So in the last, I have to go here because I cannot see. So in the last April, June, so in a trimester of 2023, we removed on Facebook 18 million content related to hate speech only. In Instagram, I forgot to put the number, but it was something even worse. It was 9 million in Instagram. And why I say worst? Because Instagram is a visual platform. So here we are talking about textual. Here we are talking about textual and visual. How do we remove those content? No, it's not working. Okay, now it's working. How we remove, sorry. So 88% of those content that were removed in Facebook were not enforced based on people reporting. They were reported by AI, meaning that I posted something bad, hate speech content. AI identified that content, and within, really, now we're talking seconds, the content was removed. Why? Because the AI understood that those content were clearly in violation of our policy, so we prevent the spreading of that hateful content on the platform. The same thing, even better, it was something like 98% in Instagram. So this is the magnitude of why AI is important, why everybody right now is talking about AI, and why it's important also to build on technology, to wait for technology to improve, but also to be part of that. How user can be part of that by reporting. Let me just, sorry, I want to be sure that I gave you the right number. Yes, was like this. What I wanted to, also, it's important to understand that when we're talking about hate speech and community standard, we're not talking about something fixed and written in the stones. It's something that evolves. How it evolves and why it evolves. The community standards, so the rules of Meta, of Instagram, of Facebook, they change as long as the society change. So for example, on LGBT plus causes, or like the theory that 10 years ago were just offensive about gender and stuff like this, that right now they are part of our society. This is something that we don't, right now we take for granted because it's like this, you know, there is not just people, men and women, that's a normal family. Things that for us are normal, they have to be reflected also in platforms. And so, for example, on hate speech, it evolves a lot in terms of what is allowed and what is not allowed in our platforms. Because we want to make sure that people feel safe when they are on our platform. And maybe this is the good moment just to do some myth-busting specific moment. Because, for example, many people say that platform has Meta, they take advantage by divisive content being spread online. This is not actually true. It's not true for a commercial reason. Because if you know what's the core business of Meta platform, you know we are a commercial society. So basically we sell ads, we sell space on our platform for business to promote their products. And this is how we made our revenues. So this is important to understand. If people all of us that we are here, we have a positive or negative experience online, we will take our decision from that. If I think that every time I access Facebook, I get to see horrible content, hate speech spread, there is just negative vibes, I would probably just decide not to go on Facebook anymore, not to use Instagram anymore. So, and brand, they don't want to be in platform where there is such an environment, a negative environment. So actually, Meta doesn't profit from divisive content and from spreading of that. And that's why, and I'm going to show you, we created many tools and we created many resources to help people prevent hate speech from happening, but also to protect themselves. And in 2004, for example, before I was having a conversation about time spent on Facebook. In 2004, when the platform was built, there were very different, there was a different society. Right now, we are in 2023, and we understood that, for example, people are annoyed by political content being spread, by only business content being spread on Facebook. So that's why a few years ago we changed our algorithm, and we, in order to promote, to be like first in the feed, the personal interaction. It means that you have more of the content you probably want to see instead of commercials, instead of political ads. And the outcome of this, and to prove my point at the beginning, was that our choice of changing the algorithm just last year proved to be like people decrease of 50 million hours on our platform in terms of time spent on our platform because of the change of the algorithm. So people are seeing content that are more personal, and actually they are having less fun from that. But we decided that that was the way we try to understand, and we saw that probably promoting familiar content of friends and family was a way to reduce hate speech on our platforms. So you see, like, there are improvements, and it's not a perfect tool, but it's important to work on that. And then, like, a part on what, like, this is open for questions. So please, if you have any questions, or maybe you just, please. Dirò questo. Okay.
Yeah, yesterday in Pietro's conference, we commented that, like, hateful content is more likely to get a lot of interaction. So the algorithm, I don't know exactly how it works, of course, you're the expert here, usually prioritizes content that gets more interaction. So I wanted to know how maybe you deal with that, or how the algorithm deals with that if the content is hateful but it's getting a lot of interaction.
So this is a very good question. So the change I was referring to before was specifically for this, because it's not that, probably, like, political content, they are the ones that are most polarized, and there are those ones in which people feel like commenting, and from a comment it goes like a different threads, and people just throwing things. So this is a fact, that there are content that are more interesting for people than other. This is a fact. The thing is that a decision which was made, like a business decision was made in order to try to demote those hateful content, was this one, for example. So give less visibility to polarized content in order to try to have more positive interaction, which in theory should come from familiar interaction, from friendship, from friends interacting one to another. The thing is that, like, platforms also are the reflection of what happens in society. If a topic it's really debated, if it goes, like, to the heart of people, probably you will see that content boosted on Instagram. But honestly, I don't think that boosting, like, something which is interesting is just a bad thing. In terms of many of the campaigns that were popular these years, and I'm talking about, I was recalling to LGBT community issues, or also, for example, fires. Right now I was talking about that just a few minutes before entering here. Like, those big topics that rise, like, the indignation of people, because we have fire all over the country now, and we are talking about the climate change, we're talking about national government responsibility, we're talking about how people don't know how to behave when they are camping. Like, those things are big things. I'm not saying that we should just throwing bad words one to each other about those topics, but this is a fact. There is also a negative part in what we are debating, and I think that responsibility lies on platform to prevent things from grow and from spread, because we are talking about global platform. But part is about responsibility of people deciding to be part of a community. We should bring the best of ourselves when we are interacting with other people. We should try to understand that our words sometimes they might be hurtful, even if we are joking, even if we are making an implication that people will understand my humor. Sometimes it doesn't happen, and it does originate shit. Sorry for the word, but that's what happens. So I think that there is a part, and you gave me the perfect moment to talk about tools and features, to be also aware of what happens, what we can do in order to prevent them from happening, and to prevent other people to bring their worst version online. So my very first slide, it's about something that normally, especially from young people like us, it's considered not that important, privacy. I don't want to make a speech on this, but it's important to understand that privacy is important. Why? Because sometimes we don't understand the implication that sharing something, not having something very easy as default setting into private mode can actually do. if you are an influencer, if you are a content creator and you want to engage with your community, it's clear you need like a public account. But for example, many of us probably are just normal people, normal citizens. So my account is logged, it's private, because I just want to interact with people I know. And this is important, especially, and again, like what's the responsibility of platform? To create tools, to create platforms that are secure and safe by design. So for example, something that was a right criticism that was made on platform was to, so the decision was to turn by default minors' account in Instagram and Facebook into private mode. This means that most vulnerable people, which are minors, even if they look like more senior than me, it doesn't mean anything, because like rational reasoning and maturity is not about if we are 17 or stuff. The problem is that by just doing something like that, we can prevent a lot of bad things from happening. And also, for example, something which was a comment of the experts out there was to limit the interaction that people might have with minors. So, for example, right now, if an adult tries to interact with the minors online, this possibility will not be allowed anymore. What about us? What we were talking about interaction and controls on hate speech. So the first thing we have to know is that there are tools. They might be improved, they are being developing even better and stuff, but there are tools. So for example, when you see something bad, and by you, I mean you as private citizen, I mean you that you own a page, you that you are doing an internship, you that you work in a place, like a person that has a control over a page, over a social interaction, you have to report things. You have to report it, it's very easy. You have to, maybe there is another slide, I don't know. You have to identify clearly why you are reporting a content. You can report a reel, you can report a story, you can report a DM, you can report everything. And you have to be specific, and that's why you have to know what are the rules of the platform you're using. Again, because hate speech is specific and are those categories that we were referring to. So if you are reporting harmful content, for example, which is not hate speech, it will not be reviewed. It will probably stay there, even if it's in violation of our policy, because the report was made in a wrong way. And it's important to know also that your reports helps to grow the community. I know this seems like a stupid statement, but it's actually very true. Like, this is an example. During the breast cancer campaign, in November last year, there were many pictures of breast, like with the cicatrice, with the scar, exactly, thank you, on breast, no? So this was a way for especially young women to go check, for women, even if not young, to go check themselves, because this is an important part of prevention. What happens? Nudity, it's not allowed on our platform, no? So many of these raising awareness campaign peak were removed from the platforms, okay? So imagine we are talking about important NGO investing money, important creative agency on this, and Meta remove a naked breast because of our censorship on nudity, okay? Reports were made. We understood that there was a big trend, there was a campaign, there was was not sharing intimate image was not something bad. So we changed the policy in order to show, and the policy goes with a lot of details. It's not just a change very easy. Now we try to even promote those content, because they have a formative attempt, an opinion. So it's very important to review this. Or, for example, this is more funny. There was a statue of Canova, an Italian sculpture, which was a naked woman, you know, and that was many pictures in art catalog were shared online. Those, it's a beauty, it's a natural beauty, you know, that was that perfect, that was removed from nudity. Again, people started reporting and say, are you crazy guys? Are you removing like a masterpiece from Canova? And now we have a new policy that clearly, because we need like external feedback, that clearly promoted and allowed like masterpiece of arts, especially in nudity. It's like, I might do like a lot of example of this. During the war in Ukraine, for example, people in Ukraine were saying really bad names about Russians, and clearly this is a violation of community standard. Clearly, they were calling very bad, but also in that specific circumstance, they were attacked by another country. So we try to make like an exemption to policy. Also, there are a lot of exemptions to policy to like assess the specific moment and try to make like our global reviewer understand that in that specific circumstances, we couldn't remove those content, or we couldn't take down a profile that was repeatedly sharing these things. Why? Because those people were relying on meta platforms to coordinate like, the resistance. So it's important to understand that it also changed a lot. How to report content, you see this is a specific, like how to go into details and how to make sure that your report is taken into consideration. And also there are important tools that, I don't know if you know them, has hidden words. So for example, and this is again for private citizen, but also if you are, if you own a page, you can just set some specific word that you don't want to see in your feed. Meaning, if I don't want anyone to call me ever small, let's say, because I have problem with my height, I can put in hidden words the word small, and no one can write small on my feedback. Now, this is a joke way, but it's important to understand that something that might be offensive or might be specifically inappropriate for some accounts or for yourself might also be prevented from happening. There are some, like, let's say, setting and standard words. Please. Okay. Grazie.
I think something that people on platforms are struggling with, like for us, we know what hate speech is now. We have been talking about it all the time, but I think sometimes they don't know which of these categories, like there's stuff like bullying and clear things like nudity, but for some things it's more vaguely, and they don't know if it fits into that category because there are sometimes things where you just don't know where to put it. Don't you think that it would be good if those had like explanations in the platform embedded?
Definitely, absolutely. If this is something that like you think it should be better explained, this is something that as a user, it's something that should definitely be taken into consideration. From my experience, what we are trying to do, not just like in the community standard in the page, you know, when you open Meta and you go into community standard, we are trying to create awareness on community standard with a lot of campaigns, with influencers, with creators, with institutions, because no one has your knowledge, like in the room, like has your knowledge about this specific stuff. People are doing completely different jobs. What I can say is that probably if something is really bad, will be reviewed by artificial intelligence, so it helps in terms of how actually those content that are vague be removed. And probably even if you are indicating cyberbullying for something that is hate speech, if it's very severe, it will be reviewed anyway. The point is that here, like when we are talking about hate speech and we are talking about content moderation, we are always talking about a struggling. And the big one, like try to find a balance between freedom of expression and safety of people, it's the biggest one. Because I can post anything and say, this is my thought. I should be free, nobody can censor me, nobody can shut my mouth, because this is my freedom of expression. And then you say no, because your freedom of expression is impacting me, it's harmful to me. So how we try and, as a platform, because now I'm bringing the platform vision, not the citizen, how we found that balance, this is the big challenge and the big complexity. So it's not perfect, it will never be, because it's made of people, made of technology, which is never going to be perfect as well. And so I think here is why it's so important to work all together.
Yes, my friend here raised a question. It's your question. She's not going to say it. I'm going to say it. About how sometimes people substitute letters from a word to change it and try to dodge the algorithm. I know that there are certain substitutions that the algorithm does catch, but every day people make up new ways to avoid the algorithm. Like, for example, in TikTok, there are so many words that substitute other words, like corn for porn and stuff like that, and how you deal with that if you're constantly adding new information, all this.
So I don't speak for TikTok because it's a very different platform. I'm joking. I will not make excuse nor for TikTok. I don't know how they deal with that. The thing is that these, like, the tricks that have been developed, the minutes they take traction, so it's not just you using, but a lot of thousands of people using, they get into the machine learning and they create a criterion. So it will never be perfect, but it really get like improved day by day by new creation, by new words. The thing is that as everybody right now, companies and stuff, are really into AI, the models, so the models that lies within the content moderation, it's improving. So something that 1 year ago took like a word like this, sex, but with the all the stuff like this, that took like one year to be recognized and to become part of content moderation. Right now, for example, in Meta with the FSL, which means few shorts learning, it takes weeks to recognize that specific words. So this is an improvement. It's like how technology evolves and get better and better. Let me just see if I finished, more or less. This is alerts on message, like part of how we interact with people might also be, sometimes people, they just throw things because they are not thinking about what they are sharing. It happens all the time. So this, for example, I don't know if you know that exists, is just an AI prompt, meaning that if I'm writing a bad words into a feed, again, might be my friends in which we are used to call ourselves bitch and bitch. Maybe that's not that appropriate, it's not that funny. So if I start writing bitch in her comment, the algorithm will ask me, are you sure you really want to post this? Are you really sure this is the right word? Because that's part of a list now of words that are bad. And this helps a lot. And we saw like the outcome of this simple mechanism. So people, I think it was developed in 2021, people in 2021 reduced the once prompt, if they really want to write that word, 75% of interaction were, the 75% of people which saw that alerts decided to use a different word. It's cool. It's cool. And it's something very easy, like someone whispering in your ear, are you sure? That's good. Then this is a really naive recommendation of set some limits for yourself. Like probably, especially if you are very interested in this topic, you will just be focus on the bad things or topics, or if I'm really into dogs, I will just see dogs and I will go for 2 hours, because dependency is a thing. Like we know how it works. So probably we can also use something to protect ourselves from ourselves. So setting some limit, like after 20 minutes you are scrolling, you can get an alert of it's 20 minutes and you just wake up and you remember it's 20 minutes you are there. I would really encourage to set everybody something like that. And then as to finish, as we are talking about hate speech and the bad that lies out there are also a lot of good out there. So let's remember that like big communities, big causes, big incredible opportunity came from social platform, talking about COVID, during the COVID, the isolation that people felt, the business that didn't go into bankruptcy because of e-commerce, the possibility of promoting and sharing things. positive content, the possibility of creating community that are cool, that are real, even if they work, if they rely on online social media. I think that probably if you are there, maybe you saw this program through a social media or your university promoted, or like it's something that changed people's life. We should use it better. We should make the best version of ourselves when we go out there. And for example, doing something very easy has highlight positive comments on the feed instead of the horrible ones. Quiet mood, it's the same thing. Like try to understand that having a notification all night, all day, it's not safe. Even if it's the best platform ever, if you just see positive things, it's not the matter. It's about being there 24 hours. It's not safe. It's not good for anyone. So I think that responsibility comes from platforms, but comes also from us, and especially from people that are that really knows well, they are knowledgeable about this thing. We have to be the example for everyone around us. It's finished. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. There are some questions.
Sorry, I don't shut up. This is a very interesting
Go
topic
for
for me.
it.
Okay, so we talk about like the alert in specific, and I was thinking, I wanted to know with you a personal opinion, if you think AI or the algorithm is ever going to be able to understand the context the word saying it, the word is being said on, since, for example, I reclaim a certain slur and I use it on social media as a reclaimed. I'm not calling anyone that slur, I'm calling myself that slur. And I often get alerts or even posts taken down, so I wanted to know if you think the AI is ever going to be able to recognize the context of the word.
So recognizing the context is the more complex things, and it's something that is being improved and has been like with a lot of signals. It's clear that there are easy things for AI to recognize and difficult things. For example, now I'm going to repeat the example I was making before. But the thing is, if you are posting a swastika, which was drawn on a wall and in your city, you take a picture and you just post it. Wow, probably that content will be removed in 5 seconds. And you might remain like shocked because you were sharing that picture to say, what a shame, in my country, in my wall, they are putting a swastika on that. But what happens? The algorithm didn't get it. So it's, I would say, normal that it takes down. So the same things with bad words, even if you are advocating for yourself, I'm a bitch again, it's difficult to understand the intention. What you can do, for example, in the swastika thing, imagine you are posting the same picture, but like with a caption saying, it's a shame that I see this swastika in the wall, I don't want this to happen anymore. That thing prevents your account from being demoted and from your content being taken down. So when you are talking like a lot of things happen. Again, I'm always talking about the LGBT community because it's the brightest example. Yeah, a lot of people were calling themselves with bad names, saying like, I own this is part of my identity, like a lot of things, because it's like, it's a move, like the recognition of this instance is also a movement, it goes with campaigns. The algorithm improved because at the beginning it was very tough to let the algorithm understand what was the intention, so it improved a lot. Clearly, it's never going to be perfect, honestly. But context, for example, right now in something that the AI does, it's when you're posting a picture, the AI recognizes what's inside the picture and gives signals to content moderation. So it also helps to understand like more the context. That's it. Please.
One second. Thank you. I'd like to say something about the pin feature to highlight positive comments, because I saw that recently people are using it to make a sort of hater blaming. For example, if I'm a user and I'm part of the LGBT community and I receive a homophobic comment, I can pin that comment, and in order to make other users to find it first and to offend the offender. So yeah, there is this kind of problem right now, and I'm wondering what social media can do about it.
Honestly, I think that in this specific example, there is nothing social media can do, and nothing should do, because this is part of how people use the platform in terms of you can always disrepresent a tool that was used for another scope. This is part of what we should do as community, honestly. For example, if people speak out and call them out and call people out, influencers especially, which they have like a public followers, millions of people watching them, and they say that this is not cool, probably will change. Honestly, this is a very good question, because it's the example for me, honestly, this is my personal view, where technology is not the solution for everything. Technology is part of the solution, technological improvement is important, but there is all that part of responsibility, awareness, taking conscience of what we are doing as community, honestly.
Just one is enough. Hola.
Hola?
Just one personal example. I posted a comment on Instagram, and after 2 or 3 days, it was removed.
Okay.
So I think that after all this time, the IA already worked, said okay, because someone mi ha segnalato, someone reported my message. I said no, control. My message was reposted, re-uploaded. In this case, in this case, how worked the EA and the person that control?
So this is the appealing mechanism, which is very important also to have. Like every people that receive like a demotion or a content has been removed can also appeal, saying, no, you are wrong. This is very important as well, because that's AI answering, that's AI reviewing the content based on the further contents you gave them, plus human revision. So it's both, it's exactly both, and it helps a lot.
So in both time, both controlled my message?
No, the first time, if it was a, if it was wrong that they removed your content, like your content was positive, shouldn't have been taken down, okay? That was AI only. The content went down. Then the appeal mechanism was made by both, so AI and human review. First time just AI, the second times both.
Okay, grazie.
Any other questions?
I want to make Sefti's question like one step further, because Sefti said that reporting should get easier, and she said that, for example, we could, add explanations to what the specific categories mean. But with all due respect, I don't think that the user should put effort into making the right choice to report that content in order for it to be removed. Because if I understood you correctly, you said that if, for example, I report a comment for hate speech and it's not hate speech, then it won't be removed because I chose the wrong answer, basically. It's not a test. It should be removed if it's bad in any way. It shouldn't be up to the user to define what exactly is wrong about it.
So, two things, two layers on my answer, honestly. So the first one is why you shouldn't report it. Like why we are the citizen of those social media. You are part of that. You decided to be part of that. I decided to be part of that. We see something wrong, we report it. It's for me it's a good thing that people can report things that they think are bad, honestly. Then, the point on being very aware of what you are specifying, it's because we're talking about a global platform, meaning the millions, billions of reports. It goes into special teams. So there is a team which is trained and expert on hate speech. There is a team which is expert on financial fraud. There is a team which is expert on sexual exploitation and trafficking. So if you are reporting and you are doing this effort, like to improve the platform you are living in, it's a win-win for everyone if your report goes in the right track for the right people to analyze it. In an ideal world, if we had like billions of reviewers and like time doesn't exist, I agree with you, that should be platform responsibility to do the best. But honestly, this is just like a small percentage of our reports, which we are already doing, in order to be sure that your report is sufficient. So, and I agree with you that responsibility of platform is to make this thing easier. Absolutely. It improves a lot. Like I didn't show like how it was in 2004 and right now how it is. It improved, it might improve even better with the new regulation on DSA. It will be even easier for people to report, for national government to report things. But honestly, this is like a mechanical thing. Like you report and you provide the context, which is the most important thing. You are providing the context, so saying it's hate speech, bullying or stuff, to the AI or the human person. So you are doing like the best thing you can do for your reports. I think it's why it's so, I mean, if we could rely only on AI to do that, we wouldn't need human review and we wouldn't have context to be added. And probably, since we are talking about not a perfect machine that will never be, we will have our content completely censored every time we post something, which is not a dog or a cat. So it's important that we are part of this improvement of the platform. And I think that's the part where we need to be, to give like 2 seconds of our time to improve the system. This is my personal view. No, not just personal, actually. No, not personal.
I think if you're like relying on AI to flag content automatically so much, it's kind of weird that you rely on like free input by the users that you make money with.
Okay, but the people are like choosing to be on that platform. So it's not just about I got like you. It's a company now, Meta. And the services are there like with a clear purpose. It's a commercial company. So if you want to be part, like if you want to use the services, like, and you want to report things, I honestly think that it's normal that we rely also on people that does review.
I think it's really easy to say just if you don't like the content, just go. Because people are not like that. Like if I have a negative experience on Instagram, I will not leave Instagram because like all my friends are on Instagram. It's kind of like social pressure forcing me to stay on Instagram. Exactly like with WhatsApp. Like I think many people have like, I know it's not your topic today, but just an example. Like many people have like data privacy concerns about WhatsApp, but they still use it because all their friends are on WhatsApp and they have to rely on the platform to just, stay in contact.
Oh, see, but for example, there are other companies that make competitive services as WhatsApp. So then you can make your choice, which is like privacy concerns. Like if you like WhatsApp is end-to-end encrypted, for example, no? So you can clearly decide which services to use. You can clearly decide, for example, in Facebook, not to use your personal information to be part of advertising. You can decide what you can see on your feed. So there is a lot of controls on the interaction you can have on a platform if you want to be part of this platform. The common goal is to have positive experience. So it's clear that no one wants to threaten people, like staying here, it's bad, but we know you like. No, it's not like this. The goal is the same as you are saying, so improve the platforms. If people don't want to report things, it's fine, Many people never report anything. So we will rely on the state of technology, which is AI. AI is not perfect. So that's the mechanism. Like, we try to have human reviewers, people from the community that know the context, and AI, in order to create the best possible environment. It's not perfect. It will never be.
Okay, thank you. Any other question? Yeah.
Well, this is a bit of a question, and like, it's an opportunity for you to bust this myth or like explain the choice. And there was a few months ago some posts going around about how the algorithm favors the posts of people who spend a lot of time on the platform or post a lot of stories, and a lot of artists who rely on Instagram for their business, for their living, were complaining about this because they can be constantly posting stories or reels or spending a lot of time on Instagram since they have a lot of things to do. And I just wanted to know if this is true, and if it is, why this choice of favoring people who post a lot was made.
So, to my knowledge, nothing like this in terms of algorithm improvement. If this is a fact that could be that like people that post a lot received more engagement, and this is like how you get more traction in terms of like in the feed. Clearly, the like people that has like more content, that get more interaction, they are the most viewed. But it doesn't go like that. There is not a categorization in terms of how many times you see the content. So in terms of prevalence, which is a very different thing from visibility, based on how much time you spend on Instagram, to my knowledge.
Okay, so thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you to you. Thank you to you guys.
Presentation. It has been very interesting. Thank you.